Okay, welcome on board. I am Modou Sanu Jallow. I have my brother here, Basamba, Drammeh. Today we will have a discussion about the migrants in the European Union, especially our Gambian brothers and sisters, find it difficult to have documents, frustrated somehow, and some of them have been deported, and back home they have no integration, and also we are going to discuss about what we heard about 6,000 Gambians are in preparation for deportation. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Modou. My brother Modou is Jallow. It's great connecting with you again after many years. My name is Basamba Drammeh. I'm an activist. I'm a human rights advocate. I'm a social worker and a diplomat and a businessman. Thank you for the warm welcome in Berlin. Beautiful city. It's my favorite city.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Yes, we also came across that you're working with the organization that has to deal with migrants in the European Union, especially those who have been sent back home. Tell us about it. What exactly do you experience in dealing with these migrants back home?
Thank you, Modou. As you know, I've lived part of my life in the European Union as well. Myself, I was an immigrant here for some years. I've lived in Sweden, I've lived in Switzerland, and I've lived in France. For the most of the time, I've lived in France, where I also did my master's studies. After my master's, I decided to go back home. But during the time that I've lived here, I have been engaged with immigrants, especially from the Gambia, about their stories, how they made it to Europe, how they had to cross, put their life on the line to be here, and what their expectations were, and what they have seen. Europe is nothing sort of their expectation. It was just not what they were expecting. But then they're here, they can go back. Like in Gambia, when you're here, they said you either make it, if you can't, you can go back home.
Exactly. This is something that I also know about.
Yeah.
That the moment you leave the Gambia and enter into the European Union, America, or whatever,
you're in trouble.
If you're not able to do something at home, and you happen to be back at home, you receive a big stigmatization whereby everybody will be like, he has spent so many years in Europe and I have done nothing here.
Even whilst you're here, you feed your family. Their feeling is on you, but at the same time they want to see something tangible that you do back home.
Exactly.
And when we know here, most of the time it's from hand to mouth unless you do something extraordinary. At some point they push you to that line, and that's why most of the people were like shocked of what the expectation were when they came here. And because of that, they followed the concept that was already created back home about them. They followed the trend of discussion back home. They followed the advice of their families. Most of them until today are not documented because they think going to the street and making it in the street is a quick money than starting a new life here. Going through all the processes of education, back to school, house building, get to the system and all that. That's for them is a waste of total time.
Exactly. I think in that case I agree 100% because you can see some people who they have been here, and also instead of doing something that will really get them a good status here, but they will engage themselves into the illegal trade, which will end up destroying all your status here. And then when you happen to be part of the people who have been deported, and then it becomes a big regret. For some of them, I know they would regret of being in such things that lead to their deportation today. I think this is one of the things our brothers also have to put into consideration. It's very important to get into into the integration system, find something that we will study as a career, and then they can see exactly the seriousness in work. But most of them want, like we said, this fast money thing.
Yeah.
And everybody want to engage into something that get them big money. And at the end of the day, the money, as we all know, there is no baraka in the money that is illegally achieved.
Obtained.
So,
I mean, the thing is, like, there are so many. That's a generation of Gambians who moved here, generation from the 50s to 60s to 70s, and the last generation of Gambians, the last movement to Europe was through the back way, and for them they had to, because the generation before them, they have a different how to call it integration system. Those that came to the back way, most of them through Libya to come here, they had to face the reality of the current phenomenon. So which was they have to seek asylum, and then they can be reintegrated, which for them would be difficult. And then here also they have laws that governs the system. Not everybody would be granted a status to live here. So when you're not granted a status to live here, what would happen was that you will be, you will have to be sent back home, or you'll be asked to leave the country. So most of them have to go through that, and not being prepared of what it would mean for them when that happens. And they didn't also know that part of the laws here includes reparation or deportation. So they were not ready for that. So after thinking that they're here, there's a new life, and then there's no life for you again. After even trying to be part of the after trying to be integrated, some of them started going to school. Some of them was even doing some house building, but most of them are also told to leave the country, and some of them are deported. So you find yourself between not starting anything here, or thinking that you have a life here, and then being sent back home where there's nothing to solve back home.